Watch the ride.
Hey everybody, I'm back down at Andy Sills in Southsea again. What a lovely day we have, and I'm going to be taking out this brand new, and I mean like brand new, I'm the first person to ever ride this thing, Zontes ADV 350. It's an adventure bike. It's quite a lot bigger than, there it is, over there. Okay, so I've done a review of the 125 like adventure, and as you can see, this is like, you know, belly height for me. It's quite a small thing. The 350 it's a lot bigger bike. There's a lot more bike here. Very similar design, but a lot more. Anyway, what we're going to do is get out of this city, but that will allow us to test it a bit in traffic, and then try it in the country roads. And I'll also take it on the motorway and see what it's like there. But I have to be obviously a little bit careful with it because it is brand spankers new. Right, let's get going. Oh, it's an interesting feel to this bike. You're very sort of high up and the bars are quite close together and close to you. I'd prefer to some wider, slightly further away bars, but I mean, it's comfy, I'll get used to it. So the engine in this is a liquid cooled 350 single, putting out about, I think it's about 38 brake horsepower. I found a few different figures and I'm trying to work out exactly which one it actually is, but I think it's about 38, 40. As with all the Zontes, they always have very light controls, I've noticed. Throttle's very, very light. Clutch is like one finger light. Steering's not difficult. It's all very easy. You know, you don't have to really force the bike around. It will go where you want it to with the little inputs. Of course, I have new brakes, new tyres, new engine, new everything in this video, so I have to be relatively nice to it, but also I'm going to have to start bedding these brakes in and stuff. You do that by just using them. There you go, filtering. It's an absolute nightmare getting out of the city, is why I've come round the wrong way. Right, fuel. Press the button. Undo the cap. Okay, so now I've been sat in the saddle for a bit of time. Ergonomics. It's a good position. The seat's nice and wide. I've got enough space for my height at 6'4". My arms are in a comfy place. And I'm getting used to this position of the handlebars being higher and closer than I thought they'd be, and it kind of makes sense. It's just, I guess I'm just used to having bigger, wider things. Okay, so 50 and 6th gear is around 4 and a bit thousand RPM. It's pretty tame. Right, what I'm going to do now, jump on the dual carriageway, see what this is like at 70. That will take us over to the country roads and we'll have a bit of fun down there. Trying to touch all aspects in this review. 70 miles an hour, 6th gear, 6 and a bit thousand RPM. It's a little buzzy, you can feel the engine's trying. But I mean, it's okay, I'm not getting too much of that through the bars or anything like that, or the seat. And it will keep pulling, but obviously I'm not going to push this engine too far. It's new. There's something I've seen about this bike, is apparently it has a slipper clutch. But, I mean, it feels like it's got one. So, yeah, slipper clutch. Independent ABS. Apparently you can't switch that off though, I've read, but I'm sure someone said to me there was a way of doing it. You probably could just pop the fuse out. It's just if you're doing proper off-roading on this, if you went on a proper, like, you know, you put dirt tyres on it and went on an off-road adventure, you probably wouldn't want the ABS on the rear. And it turns nicely, feels predictable, feels very stable, I will say that. The price of this, by the way, is about $4,500, $4,600, somewhere around there. And it is a lot of bike for that amount of money, considering that is cheaper than some 125s. Wait, is that the windscreen button? It is! There we go. There's a lot of electrics and doodads on this bike, which I'll show you in just a minute. But there's one other thing. Electric screen. Oh, I wish I had that up when I was on the motorway. It'd be good to test that. But I'm not a good example of testing wind protection because I tend to just be taller than all that was planned for. Mirrors are good too. That's another thing I will say. They're very solid. There's no vibrations in them that I can see. Nice and wide. I mean, by sheer chance, they're set up perfectly for me. Yeah, very good visibility in those. I like those. Okay, so let's look at the controls. Obviously got clutch lever with an adjuster in here. We have our pass light, high beam, low beam, hazards, indicators, horn, the button for the screen. You've also got a mod button, which is mod. Oh, there we go. We can look at the different things on the bottom of our little screen here. 2732C, and it's got a KPA. That does look like, yeah, it's tire and temperature monitors. Okay, right. It's a cheap 350, okay. And we've got average information range and all that sort of stuff to do with what's in the tank. Then, as I've shown you before, fuel cap, that unscrews. Okay, so you get like a keyless thing like this, because it is a keyless system. Turn it off for this. There you go. Click, beep, everything. Steering lock's on, so you can walk away from the bike. It will automatically do that if you just walk away. But then you just come back to the bike with the key in your pocket, press the button, everything unlocks. Bike turns on, and then the bike is on. So look at the other side, obviously front brake with an adjuster, kill switch. You've also got the eco mode button, which people have said to me, like, really test it out, see what the difference is. I have in previous bikes. I cannot find a difference, so I just leave it off. No, that's not indicators, that's lights on or off, but again, that might be auxiliaries because you can't actually turn your lights off in the UK. And start button. Right, should we look at the seat quickly, because that will be another one of the controls. Seat. And there you go. Not exactly a lot of space going on under here. Tubeless spoked rims. There's a 19 on the front, and I'm guessing that's an 18? It is 17. That was 17. So it's a 1917 setup. Obviously you've got this big grab handle sort of tray with holes ready to put a top box on it, because, you know, a lot of people who've got these sorts of bikes want to put top boxes on them. Let's say it's a single cylinder. The exhaust comes out the front, goes underneath. You've got a big catalytic converter under there. In fact, this box is huge. It starts, the cat box, or well, it's probably part of the silencer as well, starts at the front here, starts at the back there. It's the entire width and length of the underneath of this bike. If you were able to get rid of that and more straight pipe it, you get a bit of ground clearance back. Because it's interesting, it's got this, you know, this guard at the front, which is actually made of plastic, to protect the front of the bike, because there is a oil cooler in there. Why has this got an oil cooler as well as a water cooler? Must be just cooling the oil to keep the engine calmer. Cooler. But yeah, the exhaust hangs down way below that, so that whole guard just is more of an aesthetic thing than anything. Big old crash bars. The thing is, when you go and buy adventure bikes, a lot of the times none of that stuff comes with it, you know. And hand guards and things like that, and you have to go and buy them as optional extras, and it ends up costing an absolute fortune more. This is, boom, that's a lot of good looking bike for £4 and a bit grand. There is some more simple things to it, like on the swing arm, that is an interesting setup for a wheel adjustment. A stainless bolt with a nut in a little thing. I mean, it works. You got the big light cluster at the front with these big old LEDs and stuff. Of course, the indicators are LED. And as for looks, I think it looks bloody good. I think it looks a lot better than some of the other adventure bikes. The screen, which is quite small, has a lot of information in there. But it's easy enough to glance at. You've got your revs across the top. You've got your gear position in the middle, fuel this side, temperature that side, and some odometer, trip range stuff down here. Obviously speed in the middle. You've got a voltage up here. There's all sorts of stuff on there, but you can glance at it and get the two things you want to know, revs and speed. And it live out there just showed my battery voltage dropped to 12.1 volts on crank over, which means that if you had any problems with this bike, it's going to tell you basically. That slipper clutch does make this very smooth though. It's interesting. It's got a good gearbox, easy to switch through. This is a very easy bike to ride. It's absolutely perfect for someone if they're new to A2, you know, if you've not done a CBT or anything, you've gone straight to A2. Something like this, you know, it's got power, it's going to keep you safe, but it's not ridiculous, and it's light and it's usable. This is good, this is fun, I like this. It's quick enough. As I say, I can't open it up fully. I'm short shifting there to keep the revs down a bit, but it's quick enough. It's got torque, you know, it pulls itself up the hills with no problem from low revs. Like, the ride comfort is really good. I'm really impressed. Again, Zontes seem to be making some absolutely fantastic quality machines, not just for the price, but just generally. But then you add on the fact that they're so cheap, and it's like, this is really impressive. Where this would be great touring wise would be like B-road touring, or touring without just sitting on the motorway. I mean, there's no fun to just sitting on a motorway. That's not touring, is it? That's just driving places. If you want to sit back on these sorts of country roads, you know, for a weekend, have some camping equipment on the back and stuff, and just go, this would be really good for that. Oh, okay. Well, the suspension took that nicely. Very solid feeling, very consistent sort of, didn't feel cheap at all. Oh my god, it's spackled with mud. I'm thinking back to other bikes I've ridden that are like this, that aren't big CC, you know, things like the Vstrom 650, you know, it's so much bigger CC, it's not really worth comparing it. But the old Vstrom 250 they had, I don't think they sell it anymore. I would have got this over the Vstrom 250. This has just got that extra bit of poke that you want out of a 250. Because it's a 350. I have to say, every Zontes that I review, I get blown away by how good value it is. Okay, yeah, it may not be the best build compared to, like, you know, a much more expensive Big 4 bike, or maybe it's not as powerful as this, or blah, blah, you know, a little bit, but when it comes to value for money, for bike, you know, how much bike you get per pound, they're very impressive. I suppose for this price, with this much comfort and bits and pieces on it, this would make it an absolutely great delivery bike. If you're doing delivery, couriering services, whether that be food or whatever, this kind of got everything you need straight out of the box. No heat grips. I will say that is a slight surprise. For all of the extra bits and pieces you get on this bike, not getting heated grips is kind of like, really? Really? But only because it's got everything else, and you're just like, well, if it's going to have tyre pressure monitors, I would have thought maybe it might have had, you know, heated grips first. I've just noticed there's like a USB charger down in the fairings there, so you've even got power for like your sat nav. Well, there you go. There is my review of the Zontes ADV 350. What a great all-rounder. Thanks to Andy Sills for lending me the bike as always. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new here, and if you want to help support this channel, I would really appreciate that. Consider doing that through Patreon. Till the next one, bye bye.